Hello, how are you all? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining and being a part of the channel. If you like these videos, please subscribe, hit the like button. It does help a lot. Anywho, the World Economic Forum, our favorite group of elites, just had their annual meeting in Davos. It's wrapped up at this point, but this one was rather interesting to me for a few different reasons, and I'll get to some of those later. But one of the reasons was just simply for a few unusual suspects that were there and given some talking points that you typically do not see at the WEF meeting in Davos. Because usually, in my opinion, it's a bunch of elites that agree with each other and they pat each other on the back and say things that are not popular to the majority of people living on this planet, but are popular to them. Anywho, let's go through some of the unusual suspects that were there and then talk about why I think they were there. And just so you know, I'm not talking about this unusual suspect. That looked like fun. Most of you are smarter than me, so I don't think I have to point out the obvious irony of what we just witnessed in the state of the world for the past few years. Anywho, no, but I wasn't actually speaking about that. I don't know what in the ritual that was, but we're just going to go ahead and move along. I opt out. I'm going to opt out, whatever that was. Not doing it. Just going to not participate. Religious reasons. I don't know. Anywho, but one of the more interesting people that was invited to Davos was Javier Milei. Now, he is the brand new populist disruptor president of Argentina, and it's surprising, in my opinion, that he was there because a lot of his political ideas and ideals are completely opposite, completely against globalization, centralization, what you will hear him say, collectivism, which is in essence just communism, socialism. One of the first things that he did when he got into office was significantly reduce the amount of government employees, which if you are more of a populist mindset, more of a on the right type of mindset, you definitely believe in a smaller government. Less government power is always better, which is surprising because typically we equate the people at the WEF as people that want even more power. But he did go there and he did speak. I did want to say something about Milei. I think I'm saying his name right. I'm probably not. More than likely, I'm not. But he has a really good quote that I love, which again, it's surprising that they invited him there. But his quote is, "I don't want to lead sheep. I want to awaken lions," which I think is cool. So here's a short little clip of his speech at Davos in front of WEF, the WEF.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Today, I'm here to tell you that the Western world is in danger. And it is endangered because those who are supposed to have to defend the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of the world that inexorably leads to socialism and thereby to poverty. Unfortunately, in recent decades, motivated by some well-meaning individuals willing to help others, and others motivated by the wish to belong to a privileged caste, the main leaders of the Western world have abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism.
I'll show you one more person that was invited to speak. So this is Kevin Rogers. He's the CEO of the Heritage Foundation, which is essentially an incubator of conservative thoughts and ideals, which again, they invited him to go and he went and he said exactly how he feels. And he said, they invited me. I would never have gone on my own, but I definitely wanted to take the opportunity to go. Anytime you have the opportunity to go and speak truth to power, you should definitely take it and take advantage of that. And that's exactly what he did. So this panel that he's speaking in it's a panel on how to navigate a Republican taking over office, how to navigate a Republican administration, essentially. And this is what he said.
President, it's laughable that you would, or anyone would describe Davos as protecting liberal democracy. It's equally,
standing up for it.
It's equally laughable to use the word dictatorship at Davos and aim that at President Trump. In fact, I think that's absurd. But I'm going to step aside from that constructive criticism and instead answer your question.
Yep.
And I'm going to be substantive here. President Trump, if he's the next president, for that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president is going to take on the power of the elites, which I mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that you're part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y.
Amazing, right? And he goes on to talk about the fact that we have these groups of unelected elites who think they know better than the general population, yet who live completely different lives and are actually very out of touch with how the general population lives. And he brought up specific points, which you all will like. So he brought up immigration. He says, we're told by our elites that open borders are okay. Yet if you talk to many middle-class people around the world, they will tell you, in fact, they're not. And instead, they steal the American dreams. They take from them. They will tell you that public safety is not an issue. Yet ask anyone who lives in any major city across the United States who doesn't have enough money to afford a private security detail and to live in a gated community. They will tell you, in fact, that things like defund the police, soft on crime prosecutors actually make their life much worse. They'll tell you that climate change is our biggest existential crisis. We need to do all these things, yet the average person knows that a lot of the solutions they're offering are actually far worse than the climate change itself and will take far more lives. One more thing. Gender ideology. They're obsessed with gender ideology. That is not of concern with the majority of people. And also, in a lot of these countries that you see are the most progressed with gender ideology, they're actually backtracking. So, for instance, you have Tavistock. That I believe that was Sweden. You can correct me. But a lot of places that are more advanced in gender ideology as far as surgeries and puberty blockers are actually going backwards. And if you look at something like the WEF, they're pushing to move gender ideology in the Southern Hemisphere. So you have all of these things that contradict each other. And he goes on to say, a President Trump, he speaks for the people. So it's funny that you call him a dictator when he's actually speaking for the will of the people, and that's what he went on to say. It was really interesting too because he did, Kevin, the person that you saw in that video clip, he did an interview on Fox News, and they were curious. They were like, well, what was it like in the room? How did people treat you? Did they understand what you were saying? And he did say that, because you have to understand, everyone that he's talking to completely disagrees with everything that he's saying. And he said there were definitely some gasps in the room while he was speaking on that panel. But he says at the end of the day, no, I think the majority of the people there, they think that they're right. And I guess we'll find out. Now let's go to why I think these individuals were actually invited. Because just like you, I was pretty surprised. And this is why I think, not sure if you're aware of this, but over 50 countries are having major elections this year in 2024. So this is coming from the Associated Press. More than 50 countries that are home to half the planet's population are due to hold national elections in 2024, but the number of citizens exercising the right to vote is not unalloyed good news. The year looks to set a test to even the most robust democracies and to strengthen the hands of the leaders with authoritarian leanings. From Russia, Taiwan, and the United Kingdom to India, El Salvador, and South Africa, the presidential and legislative contests have huge implications for human rights, economics, internal relations, and prospects for peace in a volatile world. So there you have it. This is not just a huge election year for us in the United States, but it is for the world as a whole. And maybe that's why they offered some alternative voices there. I have no idea. But a lot of their themes this year at Davos were democracy and disinformation. So anyway, I thought I would share that with you. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you later. Bye.